All right, guys, getting into the afternoon updates here. Got you covered with both Underdog and Prize Picks. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get into the updates for today's board. Well, if we look at it, we did have, oh my goodness, and this one just got bumped as well. This was going to be a prop that I was going to point out. Wow. It's minus 140. Very interesting. But we did have Brad. He got the bump as well, a little bit later than I expected. And so that's just kind of interesting there. Then looking at a fantasy score-wise, we do have an interesting kind of development. Right before I started to make this video, Zubac is currently questionable. Okay, and so if he is out, I do think that's going to help Kevon Looney, and he's at a very low fantasy point projection, 26.5. So that could be a very interesting number, and we can see he has been like really excelling lately. So that's a pretty good number there as well, especially if he's out. And so I did want to start out with some NHL bets. Like I kind of just mentioned, one of the ones that I was going to point out to you guys did get a bump. Okay, but we still have two good ones that are out there, and really the best one that we have on the board right now when we're looking at the odds on DraftKings Sportsbook. And a lot of people are going to like this because I know people like seeing this. 4 out of the past 5 games, he's been under 2.5 shots on goal, and that's what the average sportsbooks odds are saying. They have it set at minus 155 on average for the under and plus 105 for the over. So the under here would be a good bet to go with. And for what it's worth, we can see on DraftKings Sportsbook, they are kind of saying that as well, minus 135, but a little bit tighter there, and that's typically normal. Now, I do want to point out that this bet is also available on Prize Picks as well. If you are someone that does a 3-leg bet, please do it on Prize Picks. They have a better payout for it. Like I almost never try to make a 3-leg bet on Prize Picks, especially when some of the props are matching up on DraftKings or on Prize Picks. And then while we're here, I did just want to point out some quick discrepancies here as well, because every slate there are a few discrepancies between Underdog and Prize Pick. And so looking at it right now, it's going to be Jakob Poeltl's fantasy points. On Prize Picks, it's set at 30. Okay, and we can see the point structure. -1 for a turnover, 1.2 for a rebound, 1.5 for an assist, 3 for a block, 3 for a steal, and 1 for a point. And so if we get in here, we can see that the scoring structure is the same on both sites. So why is there a big discrepancy? And I honestly don't know. That's just a big point difference there, right? So if you're someone that's saying, I don't think Jakob Poeltl is going to get over 30 fantasy points, head to Underdog and make that bet. That's a very different number there. I mean, shoot, 31.5 fantasy points, 1.45 more fantasy points. That might not seem much, but it does add up, right? It can be very close. And then so just as an FYI, if you guys are heading over to Underdog to place any bet and you guys haven't played before, just make sure to use the link in the description. It's just a solid deal. I'm a partner with them. I don't try to ever jam this stuff down your throat. It is a way to help me, but it also helps you guys out. They'll do 100% match up to a deposit up to $100. So just use that link. It'll help me out as well. But I know there is an Underdog crowd as well, but it's predominantly Prize Picks, and that's why I never want to just jam anything like that down your throat. There was one other one as well. I just want to call this out as well. Luka projected on Underdog to get 53.65 fantasy points, where on Prize Picks we can see he's projected to get 52.5. Okay, so if we think Luka is going to struggle, do those 2 bets on Underdog. Or you could do a scenario in which, maybe you make both the under bets on Underdog and then both the over bets on Prize Picks and hope they both hit, because obviously we're seeing a discrepancy there between those two. And that's a strategy that I deploy a lot in golf. Because we're really just betting on how the course is going to play. And so we'll see a stroke or a half a stroke difference between Prize Picks and Underdog, and can be a good strat. And then just one more, never mind. They took it away. Okay. I was going to say, this was a pretty good line that we were actually getting for the under for Devin Vassell. We don't exactly know what his minutes were going to be. Shocked. The timing of videos, man, it matters. But I would jump back into Prize Picks, finish up the NHL bet. But I just want to call that out because it did seem like there was a slight edge there with some of those bets. And so the last one that we got NHL wise, Tyler over 2.5 shots on goal. This is set on average at -145. So a pretty good number for the over here as well. So we had the first bet as an under, and then this one's going to be an over. This one is not available on Underdog, and they actually took it away now. So that's very interesting. I would imagine that this is going to get bumped on Prize Picks as well. Now we're done with NHL, we're done with Underdog. Let's talk about the NBA bet. All right, so just looking at it as it sits right now, we do have Dante DiVincenzo over 2.5 threes, which is a very interesting one to me because we know Wiggins, we know Curry are going to be out. Gary Payton's still out as well. So Dante has actually been someone that, not really surprisingly, has been able to step up. You know, he was that player for the Bucks. He was able to step up in like short periods of time when you need him. And so if we look at his per 36 numbers, he does average about 3.1 three-pointers made per 36 with Curry and with Wiggins off the court. Averages about 7.3 three-point attempts. So we can see on average for the season, not over. 2.2 with extra added minutes, should be able to get over. We can see it's going to be tight. Obviously, we need 3. Okay, projected to get 2.83. Okay, so obviously we'd want this number to be at 3, but not a terrible bet, just an okay bet. Like if you're like, for me, honestly, I hate to bring it up again, but like on Underdog, I was forced to kind of use that one with the NHL prop, with that good one there, because I felt that was one of the better ones that we were getting. Bradley Beal over threes is there as well, minus 138 to hit, projected at 1.79. So like, obviously with a 3-pointer, we want that number to be over, by a full point. We want the edge to be over by a full point. Not a terrible one, but that's like kind of it. Like Jordan Poole, we could definitely do assist over, but if we're doing assist over for Jordan Poole, projected at 5.34, I think we would just rather do points and assists. He averages 28.2 real life points with Curry and Wiggins off the court, and about 5 assists per 36 with those 2 off the court. And so if we look at this, we can see about projected to get 33 minutes. And so we can see like his points and assists is basically set at what his points prop should be. Okay. And I know he's been a little bit hit or miss. That's kind of who he is, but we get an extra 5 rebounds baked into this. Like I said, averages about 28.2 points per 36. So yes, he's projected to get 33 minutes. Okay. So a little bit less points, maybe a little bit less assists, but that's a pretty good number. And for what it's worth, like last night did have a pretty good night shooting. So is that going to continue or not? That's kind of the thing. It's like he had like 4 terrible nights shooting in a row. So it's no surprise that he finally had a bounce back game. And I kind of expect him to have another good night shooting again, just because, he did have a poor stretch in there. And so, kind of regression to the mean in a positive way. And that's kind of it for like these ones that I think are kind of like standout ones. Let's go ahead and scroll down for any under bets. Russell Westbrook, you could do under rebounds, 5.5 projected to get 4.8. Favored at minus 135 for that one to hit. Not terrible, but I don't know. Westbrook's like my favorite player, so I hate kind of betting against him. Looking at some over bets where the odds were not matching up. This is a pretty good one that we are getting for Kawhi Leonard, points and assists. The average sportsbook line has it set at 29 and is favoring the over at minus 124. He's projected to get 29.5. Okay. PrizePicks currently has this number set at 28. So that's a pretty good number that we're getting. As we can see, kind of across the board, very good. And the thing with Kawhi is that for the most part of the season, or for the early part of the season, he was not getting that many minutes. Lately, we have seen his minutes tick up. His average minutes is ticking up now as well because of that. But it does seem like, and this has kind of been an edge for the last, 2 or so NBA weeks schedule-wise, because the lines from PrizePicks and the Sportsbook weren't actually adjusting for his projected minutes. They're going off of his average minutes. So still not a terrible one. And then 2 other ones that are okay. Like we're getting a half here for Luka again, a half a point there. Not terrible, but he is projected to get under that. And same thing here for Paul George. Just okay ones. And then some more DeAnthony Melton, over points, barely projected to get over that. So like these are kind of just pushes to me. And so if we want to look at some under bets as well, nothing really standing out really at all. So probably just staying away from the under bets as well. You could go with Norman Powell under points and rebounds though, if you wanted to. The sportsbook line has it set at 17.5, but really the odds are pretty much saying that should be a push, but this is at about 17.2, projected to get 14.5. So a decent one there as well. Really, once again, and it's kind of the theme in the second half of the season, it seems like fantasy points is going to continue to be the move to go with. Now, my biggest worry today is that literally the top 3 bets that we are getting are all kind of ugly. Okay. And yes, this has been very accurate so far in the second half of the season. So like looking at Aaron Naismith, okay, we can see he's been very close or getting over this. And now he gets a good matchup with the Spurs. This could be one in which you are choosing to chase. It is more difficult, I would say, if Halliburton is out. I don't think that would greatly benefit him, but I think it would kind of spread the usage out amongst everyone for the Pacers. He's always popping, okay? And it's really just a minutes thing with him. That's literally what it boils down to. And if he can stay out of foul trouble, if he can get the minutes, if he's going to get 30 minutes, he's going to get over this fantasy point total. And so if he doesn't get there, literally because, he didn't get the minutes, and why did he not get the minutes? Probably because he got into foul trouble. But that's one of those situations where if you pull up his point projection or minutes projection, we can see projected to get 25 minutes. So that suggests that he stayed out of foul trouble. Thus, he should be able to get the over. And now another one that's exactly the same thing, guys. Trey Jones. But Trey Jones is going to be more dependent on the injury news. Trey Jones has been out for a while. We don't know if his minutes are going to be limited at all or not. If they're not, against the Pacers, this is a very good prop that we are getting. We can see a very big edge there. And like his minutes have been up as well from his average minutes. And it does seem like the prop is set based off of his average minutes here at 24.5. And there's like nothing suggesting that I've seen that would confirm a minutes restrict. Now it's all speculation. Like even here, it wouldn't be surprising to see him face a minutes restriction Thursday. We don't have that news just yet. Okay, so this is very much would be a bet on the minutes, but also the minutes restriction. And so like we do see that with Devin Vassell here, I would be fine betting the under because I believe it was confirmed that he would be facing a minutes restriction. Okay, so how many minutes is he going to play? Like literally that is what we are waiting on for the Spurs here. They're finally healthy-ish, right? It's kind of crazy. Well, kind of healthy because Keldon Johnson's out. Okay, so it is kind of it's a weird situation with the Spurs. We got to get confirmation on the minutes for Trey Jones and Vassell. I think that Vassell's going to have his minutes limited, thus you could bet the under. And with Keldon Johnson out, Trey Jones would be the play if the minutes were there. Gets about a 4 to 5 point bump in fantasy points per 36 with him off the court. Once again, not going to get 36 minutes. We pretty much know that. That's confirmed, but at the same time, a very decent looking prop. Now, if we get news that Jones and Vassell's minutes are going to be limited, Devontae Graham would be the move. Okay, it is kind of difficult in that sense. I do want to point out as well, I believe I called out Zach Collins on this morning video. Okay, it might have came out after. I'm not exactly sure. Actually, I think it did come out after the video. Anyway, he was looking like a very good prop. It was at like 29.5. They bumped it up 1 point. Still a decent prop line. Like really with him as well as all the Spurs, it's literally how many minutes are they going to get? And with a game that's not projected to be a blowout, they should be able to get their full allotment of minutes, which for them is about 32 minutes pretty much. And so if we look at it, Zach Collins with Keldon Johnson off the court, with Jakob Poeltl, if you want to toss in that sample as well, off the court, he averages about 7 points more per 36. And see, so he is someone that if we were to kind of go by just this projection, we can see slightly under. But if we were to include the per 36 numbers, it would be slightly favoring the over there. And really, it's, once again, the Spurs bets are all going to be based off a minute. And this is my long way of saying that maybe we could do some sort of Spurs stack. Okay, that'd be up for you guys. So if you think the minutes are going to be spread out, well, obviously you'd bet the unders for Vassell, Trey Jones. And then you could also still do the over for Zach Collins. Like, I don't mind that idea. I don't love it. And if you guys have a better feeling for it, let me know in the comment section. Let us know in the comment section below. Because it does seem like there's an edge there. Like Jeremy Sochan projected to get 27.5 fantasy points on PrizePicks. Is that something that lines up? No, it doesn't. You look at his per 36 numbers, it's not elite. It's only about 31 fantasy points per 36, which obviously is over, but he seems hit or miss as well. So it does seem like there's some edge there. It's tough to really love it unless we're doing a stat. Now, looking at DeAnthony Melton, this is actually one that I do think is going to be good and accurate today. So if we look at it, Melton has a huge edge here, projected at. So if we scroll down here, we can see why. He's projected at 27 minutes. Even with his prop line against the minute or against the opponent, the per minute average would be projected to get over this as well still. So everything's kind of aligning for Melton to be a good prop bet today. But what's the issue with prop bets like these? Like betting on, not even like, we're betting on like fourth options, not even second options or third options. We're betting on fourth options. So they kind of need to get done via rebounds kind of everything, rebounds, assists, but also blocks and steals. Okay. And you can't have them getting turnovers. That you can't have them getting like negative points too much. But you can see he has been getting minutes recently, 32, 31. Okay. So not bad there. This game against Boston, only 25. And then obviously against Memphis, 13. Got into a lot of foul trouble there. Quite clearly what happened. So as long as he doesn't get into foul trouble and as long as he does get the minutes, Melton over fantasy points is probably the best prop that we're getting today. Now, for what it's worth, all the other ones that we already gained, like DeLon Wright is still a decent one. OG is still a good one. You know, those are all still good ones. And Jakob Poeltl, I do like for the over. He is due to have a bad game. We're just hoping it doesn't come tonight because it does still seem like a low number. And so let's flip it around. Not that many good options for under fantasy points. And this is a very interesting one here for Russell Westbrook. And like calling it out, Jeremy Sochan is projected to get under his fantasy points as well. I don't know if I would do this for Miles Turner as well, but it's a high number for him. And those are guys like Russell Westbrook and also Miles Turner. It's a weird situation in which I wouldn't mind doing the over fantasy points or the over points, rebounds, and assists for them. So to me, it kind of just seems like a stay away. Like, I think I'd be fine doing points, rebounds, and assists over for Westbrook against Golden State tonight. And then for Turner, like, I actually don't mind that as well. I think that would be the move that we go with. But for him, it's like he doesn't really get it. So is it really that worthwhile there? That'd be for you guys to decide. So I'm going to put those 2 hockey bets in there. And like right now, guys, I do have a pretty good day going like PGA wise. So I'm probably not going to push tonight's slate too much NBA wise, just because I'm already like looking pretty good on the day. And I don't know if that's a strategy you guys would agree with or not, but that's kind of how I like to look at it. I can control my bankroll a little bit better than that way. It's more of a personal preference, don't get me wrong, because if a good prop's out there, good prop's out there, but that's my personal preference. But I do like Kevon Looney over fantasy points here. Should get a better matchup if Zubac is out. Then I probably will go Aaron Naismith over fantasy points. Don't love it, but also don't hate it. Just need the minutes to be there. And I will go over fantasy points for Jakob Poeltl here, but I also am betting the under on underdog as well. I'm kind of hedging in a way that way because 1.5 fantasy points, that's a lot. Okay, I think he gets over, but at the same time, it's a big discrepancy there. So it is kind of one of those situations where I'm fine hedging. And then lastly, Melton, as long as the minutes are there, as long as he's not getting into foul trouble, should be able to get this over. And so here are what the closing bets would look like, guys. I'm fine doing over fantasy points here. Okay. And once again, like I'm not encouraging like a 6-leg bet. No, the strategy is to do individual bets. You guys can find which ones you think are your favorite ones and do that in an individual bet. You're going to be able to better manage your bankroll and thus kind of figure out what you should spend really the next day as well. And you're going to have better profits. Like you can have one end of this miss and you're looking at a double up instead of if you had bet them all individually, potentially having a really profitable night. But that's all for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe. And as always, let's keep cashing.